idea for the show.
I still don't know what the idea is.
It's about nothing.
Right.
Everybody's doing something. We'll do nothing.
They say, what's your show about? I say nothing.
There you go.
I think you may have something here.
Cross Coast Spice presents the League About Nothing podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's time for the Week 10 recap. We had a league median score this week of 189.22. But before we get to that, Al, how are you?
Sick.
Oh.
But you know what? We play hurt on this show, so I'm here.
Play hurt. I don't know if hurt's the right classification, but we appreciate you pushing through.
For the people.
Well, yeah, for the legions, for the masses. All right, we had a pretty fun week this week. There was a lot of injuries. Hopefully, all of these are as minor as they seem because none of these guys are on IR yet, except for Zay Jones, who wasn't really a big fantasy name.
But no longer on a roster in our league either.
Right. There's a lot of guys, but it doesn't seem like any of them are too serious. But before we get to all those injuries and those matchups, we do have a couple of trades and a couple of waiver runs to discuss. Our normal Tuesday waiver run was pretty boring. The only thing I wanted to note was Mel picked up Snoop Huntley for $8. I'm pretty sure it was uncontested. Oh, I think there was a $0 bid. Not yours. I think it was Mr. Good News or something. I don't remember exactly, but there was almost no contest on that one.
I mean,
but it's
that's
interesting.
a good price. Good price for a Pro Bowler.
For a Pro Bowler. That's just the wildest thing. They just grabbed anyone they could and said, hey, yeah, you're going.
They went through the first 87 names and then they landed on
Well, a bunch of guys were hurt. A bunch of guys were still in the playoffs.
And they don't even do the real Pro Bowl anymore. It was like Pro Bowl games.
Was that the year that Mac Jones went to?
I believe so. They weren't. They were taking backups.
The AFC was sending some guys. All right. So he picks up Huntley, who appears to have secured the first backup duties for if Lamar goes down again. And it's unusual to see a backup quarterback out there in free agency or on the waiver wire. So it makes sense that he got picked up.
Yeah. Mr. Good News has most of them already rostered.
Right. Exactly.
Trying to get all those 5th round picks again.
Those 5th round picks are great lottery tickets. You never know when you're going to find someone useful.
Right. If you've got enough empty roster spots to utilize them.
Exactly. Although I don't remember how many. Is this the year that Mr. Good News has about 20 picks? So he might not have enough roster spots this time.
It's every year.
Yeah. All right. So the only other waiver that I wanted to talk about was not on the normal Tuesday run. This was, I'll be honest, I don't even remember what day it was. Wednesday or Thursday, I guess. It was Jake Tonges, who Big had to drop to get legal to make a trade, which we will get to in a second. But Tonjes got dropped, and he was picked up by Flea with a $51 bid. That is a healthy chunk of change.
Yeah, it was an aggressive bid. She's been chasing tight end production all season. Tom just had his moment in the sun when Kittle was out. So he proved himself to be a pretty good handcuff, at least.
Yeah, he's not getting as many snaps now that Kittle is back, obviously. And it was interesting that there was actually a backup touchdown or a backup tight end scored a touchdown for San Francisco this week, but it went to Farrell because he's out there blocking and just happened to get the route.
Farrell's role hasn't really changed. He's been playing the same amount of snaps with or without Kittle. It's just that Tonjes now is basically playing 0 snaps. That Kittle is back. I think he played 3 snaps this week. Yeah. So he's purely Kittle insurance, which made sense for Big to roster, but he had a bit of a crunch to pull off a trade this week. So had to move on. Flea's happy to have that insurance, I'm sure. She's been doing a lot of work to remake her tight end room, as we'll get to when we go through these trades.
Yeah, we will be getting to that very shortly. And like you said, it makes sense to pick Tonjes up because he was productive in the games that Kittle missed. Not every game, but he did have a couple of solid performances in there. So if Kittle were to miss more time, he's a guy that pretty much any one of our teams would want to have on the roster. So lucky for Flea, she's got that option now.
Yeah, because we've seen plenty of situations where the starting tight end gets hurt, the backup tight end comes in and just doesn't do anything because he's not very talented.
Yeah.
How long has Brenton Strange been out for Jacksonville? And, Hunter Long's been quote unquote starting and hasn't done anything. And then he got hurt
Yeah.
this week.
That,
But
that might
yeah,
just be a product of being on the Jaguars, though.
well, it's not every backup handcuff tight end is worth rostering, but at least Tunges, we've seen him be productive.
That stretch from week 4 through week 6, Tanjas was the tight end 7, tight end 9, and tight end 13, and was averaging almost 20 points a week. If
Yeah,
that,
pretty good.
if you get that kind of production, if you could get that production every week, you'd finish as a top 2 tight end. I'll bet. And that's up there.
Bit of a proof of concept there, at least with Tonjes.
Exactly. Weeks 1 through 8, only 1 week outside the top 24. And that includes week 1 where Kittle was there for part of the time. And I'm not counting week 7, which he missed. So, All right. So good for Flea. Tough roster crunch for Big. We've seen that happen a few times. And, let's get over to that trade now that caused that roster crunch. You mentioned Flea has been trying to add tight end depth. This is pretty much exactly what this trade was. Big traded Luke Musgrave to Flea, and in return, he picked up Tyrone Tracy and a 2028 second-round pick attached to Flea's roster. This is the first time we have seen anyone dip into that 28 capital, and Flea does it for the tight end depth that she was lacking so far this year.
Yeah, we were wondering when that box was going to be opened.
Right. Somebody had
Not
to do it
surprising-
eventually.
Not surprising that it's Flea. She's been one of the more aggressive managers in recent history of the league.
Well, and there was it. How do I put this? There really only could have been 2 different managers who would have had to go into that capital coming into the year. Everybody else still had a little bit left from either 26 or 27. Flea and Big came into the year having, like a spare 4th, but not much else. So it was really likely that one of these 2 would dip into that capital before someone else would.
Yeah, she's kind of towed the line all season as far as whether or not she really wanted to compete this year. She's made a few trades where she traded productive players away to get some younger guys and kind of try to maintain a little bit of a balance. But seems like this week, now that she's been firmly in the playoff picture for the last, solid month, that she's decided, well, might as well shore up the one weakness that the roster really has and fully compete this year.
It's a bold move, but I think with the way her team has been playing and her record over the last few weeks, it's justified. It's more fun to compete. It's more fun to have a relevant team. It's more fun to try and go for it.
Yeah, this gets talked about a lot, like the baseball trade deadline, where the GM is essentially rewarding the roster. Like, if you guys are good and you're competitive, then we'll bring in extra help, at
Yeah.
the deadline to help you guys have a better chance down the stretch. And that's essentially what she's done. She's just kind of has been waiting week to week to see how the team's going to play out. And it's been playing well for long enough that she's confident now that she's, one, going to be a playoff team, and 2, able to do some damage in the playoffs. And, she's added a couple of pieces here to help her.
And from Big side, he moved off of Musgrave, who he's held since he drafted him a couple of years ago. But this is probably the best opportunity he was going to have to do that and get a good return. He picks up Tracy, who's going to be the starter for New York for as long as he's healthy the rest of the way, and adding a second round pick, which is, I'm pretty sure, the capital that he used on Musgrave in the first place, is got to feel nice.
Yeah, it's a nice return. This is the cost of doing business at tight end in this ridiculous format that guys like Luke Musgrave, who is only probably a temporary injury fill-in starter for the rest of the year and hasn't been super productive previously when given opportunities.
Yeah.
But, he's young and he's a starting tight end. And, well, they didn't look like a good offense on Monday night, but
Yeah.
generally been a productive offense this year. So to
Right.
get a chance at a player like that, you gotta kind of spend up for it. So
Right.
it cost her future second and also, promising young running back who also happens to be an injury fill-in, but we know how that goes at running back.
It's a steep price, but given the way that the tight end market looks most of the time, you can't really falter that much for paying it because otherwise she probably wasn't gonna get a whole lot.
Yeah, he's a clear upgrade. He's her clear tight end one
Yeah.
now for the rest
Well,
of the season.
he put up 7.55 points this week, which is somewhat disappointing. But let me tell you, we talked about Flea's two tight ends last week. I think they put up 8 point something combined. This
Yeah.
is
Any
points on
upgrade,
the roster right here.
any upgrade was an upgrade for
Yeah.
her at the tight end spot. She was
Right.
really rolling out zeros every week, essentially.
We've also discussed how Big's tight end room isn't the deepest, but it's very top heavy, which means that Musgrave probably wasn't going to break into his lineup at tight end very often. And he's basically looking at it as, oh, I don't actually know how he's looking at it specifically, but he's probably looking at it as Tyrone Tracy is more likely to enter one of his flex spots than Musgrave is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which,
that's the way that I would look at it.
right. Which it's the proper way, I think, for him to look at it. Tracy's going to have a lot more opportunities than Musgrave is.
Yeah, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries up and down his roster, but specifically at running back. So
Yeah.
getting a healthy running back that's locked into a pretty healthy workload. We saw this week he pretty much dominated the snaps with Singletary mixing in a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna probably see what we saw from Tracy down the stretch last year.
Yeah, and he played well last year down the stretch. He had some very good games. I just assume that this is the first step of Big becoming a Giants fan. He said he's a fan free agent now, and I pitched him on the New York Football Giants. And, you know, he likes to go out and get his guys on his team. He's got a bunch of Cardinals on the team now. So I just assume this is his first step towards actually becoming a fan of the Giants. That take was so bad that it made Al disconnect. Scratch that. Al didn't disconnect. It was a soft benching. The rest of this pod will be a solo pod because Al's voice is dying and he's gone. I also tried to make Al into a Giants fan after the Chargers left San Diego. That didn't work. He's out there with the Rob Lowe NFL hat on. Once he comes back, I'm going to pretend like I didn't say any of this.
And we're back.
All right, good. All right, I think that about wraps up that trade, unless you wanted to comment on me pitching Big to be a Giants fan.
I think it's a good decision. It's a well-run organization. Competency at all levels.
Competency at all levels. Well, we'll see how that goes.
Maybe
All
they'll bring in Cliff as the next head coach.
right. It is a possibility.
Then it'll be
I mean,
a
if
match
that
made in heaven.
if they actually bring in Cliff as the next coach, I won't have to pitch him. He'll be on board. I'll send him a Giants hat.
I would very much enjoy that.
Let's move on to our other trade. This one also involved Flea's team, and Al, this time you were involved. This is shocking. Big made a trade and Al made a trade. Everyone who saw those things coming. All right, this one, Flea picked up Elijah Arroyo, Tyler Algier, Amir Abdullah, and Al's 2027 second round pick. In return, Al picked up Mike Gesicki, Tajay Spears, and Flea's 2028 first round pick. Another tight end going to Flea with Arroyo. And the backups for her two top running backs, Robinson and Taylor. And that second round pick to grease the wheels a little bit. Before we get too deep into the minutia of this trade, I want to hear from you about why you made it and what talks you had with Flea about this trade.
It was, the two trades were very similarly structured with just some more kind of extra pieces on in my version.
Right.
We were actually talking about this before Big made his trade, something similar with a second and a running back like Tracy. But Big ended up pulling the trigger on that one before. So then we kind of had to restructure our trade. So the next pick that made sense, was the first. Just had to do a little bit more adding on my side because while I do prefer Arroyo long term to Musgrave, and I think she did too, the immediate production is probably not going to be as high
Yeah.
for Arroyo, just based on, he's got to deal with AJ Barner and Seattle offense that is not very pass heavy. I mean, they they won this week going away, and I think Darnold threw like 12 or 13 passes.
Yeah.
So
For a team that was up 35 nothing, they sure didn't do a whole lot of passing.
so the immediate production probably not going to be there for Arroyo like it will be for Musgrave. So there's a little bit extra pieces. I got a first, but I also gave back a second
Yeah.
in a sooner draft. It's a 2027
Right.
second versus 2028 first.
A lot of the time that the exchange rate for draft picks is 1 year equals one round. Now, first and second, not quite as much, but if you're trying to pick up a fourth rounder in this year's draft, the general price you're going to pay is a third rounder for next year's draft.
Yeah, so I mean, I I can tell you that I didn't want to trade Arroyo. I really liked him, and that's why I drafted him. He was the tight end that I kind of had circled going into the rookie draft. I said, this is the one guy that I want to come out of this draft with more than anyone else. I
I
really
didn't know
liked
you were
his
that high on him.
I really liked his profile of all the guys that were kind of similarly ranked, Fannin and Taylor and Ferguson, all the guys that got drafted in the same range
Yeah.
in the NFL draft, and they were going pretty similarly in rookie drafts. That was the guy that I had kind of slightly ahead of the rest of the pack.
So
So,
when I said someone's going to overdraft Arroyo, you were thinking, yeah, me.
right, that was the that was the plan, was to overdraft him.
Fair enough.
And so yeah, if she hadn't dangled that 28 first, then we probably wouldn't have even had a conversation.
It looks very similar in overall structure. It's Spears is the main piece you're getting back for this year. Gesicki's hurt right now.
Right. We still don't have a timetable for Gasecki.
Yeah, no, we don't have any information since he's been out. Basically, they haven't really updated anything. Adding a first round pick is pretty much never a bad idea, even when you have to give up some pieces to do it.
Yeah. And I really needed a running back pretty desperately. So that was
What you're talking about, Jameer Gibbs scored like 800 points this week.
all right. Well, I needed a second running back because Ty Johnson was my running back one last week with 8 rushing yards, and I think he was my running back two this week with 2 rushing yards. So there's a pretty big hole at running back two on my roster currently.
Right.
I'm not sure that Spears is the final answer, but he was an important piece to get back. Although I traded her to her handcuffs, Algier, who scored 2 touchdowns this week. That would have
I,
been useful to have in my lineup, but
I actually saw a very interesting statistic. Do you know what the breakdown of red zone carries or goal to go carries for Algier and Robinson have been this year?
Algier is generally in there.
It's 13-4 in favor of Algier.
Yeah, he's in there in short yardage and goal line.
He is
He's
like that's not an anomaly right there. That's not he got one
no,
drive and they ran it 3 times. No, like he's the guy in those situations.
yeah, he's been doing it all year. I mean, he's a good back, and he's
He
going to
is.
be a free agent after this year, so he may be a starting running back for someone else next year.
Yeah, there's a good chance he ends up elsewhere.
I think he may end up being a bigger part of this deal than initially looked.
It is a possibility, but that's the sort of thing that if we try to predict that, we're just going to end up looking silly 9 times out of 10.
Always.
So this is an interesting trade. A couple of interesting trades from Flea. I like the idea of going out and trying to improve that tight end room now. I don't think it's a bad idea to have your handcuffs when you have such a large percentage of your points tied up in those running games.
Yeah, I think what it does is this helps her tight end room immediately and hopefully will help it going forward. We know how difficult it is to get productive young tight ends in this league. So it may give her a couple of answers, hopefully long term. And it's also a stack with Darnold. So
That's true. That's true. Yeah, if Arroyo works out and is a useful fantasy tight end, this should be fine. If Arroyo does not work out, she might regret this one down the line.
yeah, I think that's kind of goes for both Musgrave and Arroyo, both of these trades, obviously.
I don't know about the Musgrave one as much because I'm pretty sure that everyone knows that Kraft is one of the best tight ends in the league at this point. And yes, he's injured. He's going to be out for a while, but I don't think anyone really expects Musgrave to take over that role and have the same long-term value. And I don't think Flea expects that. I don't think Big expects that. I don't think anyone does.
Well, it's possible that if he plays well, he can parlay that into a starting role when he hits free agency and gets out from under Kraft as well.
That's true. We're in year 3 now on the rookie deal. So
Yep.
one more year after this, and he has the ability to go elsewhere. I think that about covers it for the trades. Let's get over and take a look at some matchups. As I mentioned at the top, we had a league median this week of 189.22, and our top scoring team this week was Big's team. Big put up a 254.23, and he played against Flinch. Flinch was our 12th highest scoring team this week, and he put up a 93.74. I don't think we could possibly have a larger margin of victory in this one. 1 versus 12.
Yeah, pretty big spread in this one.
On Big's roster, there were two players over that 30-point margin. There were his tight ends, Trey McBride with almost 37 points and Kittle with almost 32 points. Big day from the tight end position. That is a lot of points at a spot where we do not usually see half of that.
Yeah, no wonder he felt comfortable trading Musgrave away.
I said he's very top heavy at the position. McBride is, I'm pretty sure, still the consensus number 2, and Kittle is ranked lower only because of his age. Like if we're
Yep.
talking about ranking the guys for this year, I'm pretty sure Kittle would have been probably number 3 behind McBride, at least
Yeah,
coming into the year.
especially with all the injuries that San Francisco's gone through this year.
Oh
When
my
he's
God.
out there, he's the focal point of the offense outside of Christian McCaffrey,
I was going to
obviously,
say, have
but
you forgotten Christian McCaffrey?
outside of Christian McCaffrey,
Right.
he's the focal point.
So a very, very impressive day from the tight ends there. And also worth noting, he didn't get to the 30 point or even 20 points, but Sam Laporta with a 15.55 ended up in the flex spot for Big. So he really doesn't need that 7.55 out of Musgrave.
Yep.
Other players over 20 points in this one. On Flinch's roster, we only had one. It was Kyron Williams with a 23-point day.
Yep.
Solid.
Scored a couple of touchdowns, but this has become a near even split with Blake Corum recently. So we haven't seen a lot of games like this from Kyron like we've been getting over the last couple of years. Corum's been eating into a lot of that early down work. Kyron's still the guy at the goal line, so when the Rams get down there and don't throw 1 yard touchdowns to Devontae Adams, it's usually Kyron getting the touchdowns.
Every week they just they have a goal line receiver. Who knew that was a thing?
Right. So yeah, we haven't seen a lot of ceiling games out of Kyron this year. He's not getting the 90% snap share that he was the last few years.
No, but he's still doing well. He's not exactly what you might have expected, but he's the running back 9 on the season. It's not like that's wildly disappointing.
Oh yeah, he's still great. It's just he doesn't have the same floor and ceiling that he had last year.
Right. He's doing it more. I don't know if attrition is the right word, but he's doing it more basically with consistency than with big boom weeks.
Yep. Yeah, this is only his third week of the season over 20 points.
And let's get back over to Big side of things, because as I said, that was the only player for Flinch over 20 points. On Big side, he had quite a few, as is, usually the case with the top scorer of the week. Players over 20 points for Big. He had Baker with 25, Nico with 27, Mac Jones with 26, Jerry Judy, we haven't called his name a lot this year, 23 points. And you mentioned Christian McCaffrey. He came up just shy 19.85. So really, we'll call it 20. But a pretty good day all around for Big's roster.
Yeah, how good is McCaffrey that on a down week when
Yeah.
the team gets blown out, he doesn't score any touchdowns, but he still almost gets 20 points on a bad week.
He's had McCaffrey this entire season only 1 week where he wasn't a top 12 running back. And that was
Yeah.
2 weeks ago where he was RB 25. I really wish he'd been 24 there just for the sake of being, a top 24 running back. But still, McCaffrey just having an insane year.
Yeah, and it's really not anything that he's doing. It's just pure volume
Right.
because
Yeah,
they give him all of the carries and also like 10 targets a game. Even as inefficient as he's been this year, just sheer volume is getting him there for fantasy.
another 10 targets this week for him, 8 catches.
Yep. Yeah, he's going to break 1,000 rushing and receiving this year if he stays healthy.
Is he gonna get there for rushing yards? I don't know what he's got on the year so far.
Yeah, he's on pace
Yeah,
for
no, he's
both.
over 600. All right, yeah. It's inefficient though. 3.48 yards per carry this year.
Yeah, it hasn't been pretty.
By far the lowest of his career.
Hasn't been pretty, but yeah, he's got more receiving yards than rushing
He's already
yards
got
this year.
90 targets.
And 180 carries. So that's 270 opportunities through 10 games.
I remember in the preseason when we
It's
were
pretty
all
good.
unsure about McCaffrey's health this year.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I'll tell you who's not unsure. Shanahan.
I almost just said Mike Shanahan. Jeez. Kyle, you're gonna run that man into the ground. The funny thing is, in one of Big's flex spots, we have Brian Robinson, who had another 8 carries and another catch. Just in there because he got the touchdown, really, but another San Francisco running back because one wasn't enough.
Yeah, and this is a game that they got blown out by the Rams.
Yeah, we do have a couple of injuries to touch on here before we move on. On Flinch's side, Dalton Kincaid got injured. What was it that he hurt? He hurt his hamstring. Left in the third quarter, did not return. Not great. He's been out a couple of times already this year. He keeps getting dinged up here and there, but he's been good when he's played.
Yeah, and they've already called him week to week, which is not a great sign.
No,
If
not
it's
not
a
the diagnosis you want there.
Yeah, if it's a grade 2 or worse, then we could see him miss 3 to 4 weeks potentially.
Keep an eye on that. I guess you can play Knox in the meantime.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because he's been good when he's been on the field.
Yeah.
They've started to lean on him a little bit more as their top option in the passing game. They can't keep him out there. It's been a star-crossed start to his career.
And on Big side of this matchup, we had Bam Knight hurt his Achilles, or not his Achilles, I'm sorry, his ankle in the third quarter as well. He left, didn't return. I have not seen any update on this one, but he's been filling in for, I don't know, do you call it for Connor, for Benson, for Carter? I mean, who are we calling that he's filling in for now? I don't know. He was starting for them, but he's out now. I don't know.
Connor's not coming back. Hopefully we
Right.
get Benson back at some point.
Yeah, he's listed as questionable now. I don't know. We'll see if he misses any time.
Yeah, DeMarcado took over in the second half and was a far more efficient runner than Bam was anyway.
I'm not sure how much we can really take away from that game where they were again down down 35-0 at one point. I don't think any running back is going to give you much production there.
Seattle said, "Go ahead, run the ball. That's fine."
Well, once Knight got hurt, they just soft benched him.
Yeah.
One other injury to note here on Big's team, Chris Rodriguez hurt his shoulder, left the game, did not return. I also have not seen an update on this one. I don't know if you have.
No, we haven't gotten any updates yet. He obviously didn't return to the game, so not great. But he had been coming on a little bit. He's been playing better than Bill the last couple of weeks. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. He Looked like maybe he was turning the tide and was going to start taking over again as the primary rusher, and now he's got another injury he's got to deal with.
Yeah, that one's turned into a bit of a timeshare.
Yeah, it's been an ugly year in Washington.
That it has. Although some potential good news, they didn't put Daniels on IR.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, they had all the imaging came back. It was apparently a clean dislocation, no ligament injuries, no bone injuries. So it looks
I
like he may
can't
be able
believe
to
it.
return in a couple of weeks.
I, I
Less than 4 weeks if they're not putting him on IR.
I find that just incredible. I good for him. I mean, I'm glad.
He's
The
got
other thing
those
is,
he's got those young joints, you can just bounce back and stuff like that. If I did that, they'd have to amputate both arms.
The other thing is they do have their bye week coming up in week 12, which means if they put him on IR, that means 5 weeks essentially, not 4 weeks.
Right.
But even that man's arm was pointing the wrong way. Give him 5 weeks. Give him the season. You're not going anywhere this year, anyways.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if Mariota can rally the troops a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Well, they might not have been down 35-0, but they may as well have been. That game was also quickly out of hand.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go to our next matchup. Our second highest scoring team this week was Flea's team. Flea put up a 228.48, and she was up against Rug. Rug put up a 220.47. Does anyone in our league have as bad a luck as Rug does, where he just scores over the median and loses every week?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's had more median wins and head-to-head losses as,
Right.
as Rugg has had this year. It's been it's been a tough go. He's had some really rough matchup luck.
Well, he goes 1-1 this week. Flea goes 2-0. And part of that was because she has this guy on her team named Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
And he decided that he just really likes scoring 3 touchdowns a week. So he's just going to keep doing that. Taylor put up a 51.6 this week. What a
Seems
game.
excessive.
Excessive is a good way to put it. He's got 15 rushing touchdowns and 2 receiving touchdowns, 17 touchdowns so far this year. That's a great season right there.
Yeah, we're on pace to have a good debate over 2025 Jonathan Taylor versus 2024 Saquon Barkley.
Right. Yeah, he's not putting up quite the same yardage numbers, I don't think, on the ground, but maybe he is, because he had 244 yards this week, which is the most anyone's had all year, which 244 is a lot.
It's been a prolific season.
Way to put it mildly. Yeah. So Taylor 51 points, also over 30 points. Matthew Stafford 30.4. That'll happen when you throw for 4 touchdowns and you're also up 35-0 or whatever the heck that score. Man, the late afternoon games on Sunday were all just absolute blowouts.
Ugly.
Yeah. So Stafford, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, the MVP campaign continues.
For who? Taylor or Stafford?
Both of them. Well, Taylor can't win because he's not a quarterback, and they refuse to give MVPs to non-quarterbacks. That's what the offensive player of the year is for.
No, he's a couple more weeks like that, and he won't have any competition for offense. But I'm not even sure if he has any now.
Well, there's a couple of players out there who've had monster seasons, but yeah, Taylor just the the abundance of 3 touchdown games.
That's the crazy part of it. They're just scoring in bunches every week.
Yep.
Other players over 20 points in this matchup. For Flea, she had Devontae Adams, 23.7, Alec Pierce, 20.9, and Dylan Gabriel came just shy 19.83. On Ruggs' side of the matchup, some good scores from a couple of surprising spots. 26-point day from Jalen Naylor, 22-point day from Tez Johnson. Josh Jacobs, 21 points. You kind of expect that, even though that game was incredibly ugly to watch. And Theo Johnson, 21.7.
Yeah, he dug deep into the bench this week to help him get over the median.
Yeah. You have to have depth, and in weeks like this, you're glad you have it. He also had guys like DeMarcado in there with 14 points. Mariota finished with a 19.97. I probably should have mentioned him before. Guys that are on your team and you expect to get a week out of him here and there, he just kind of got a bunch of them all at the same time where he really needed them.
Yeah, not quite enough to win the matchup, unfortunately, but it's nice to see the depth play out.
Yeah, this was a 8.01 margin on this matchup, which Dynasty Daddy tells me is the seventh closest margin of victory this year, which I feel like we should have had more than 7 matchups that were within 8 points of each other, but I guess we haven't.
Yeah, well, half the league is non-competitive, so we only get matchups this close. Well, I guess if the
Right, they're
non-competitive teams are playing
non-competitive with each other half the time, though.
then I guess those matchups could potentially be close too.
Exactly. That's exactly. That
That's a
was
good
you
point.
just
That's a good
spoke
point.
the thought process that I had, but you had it in real time for all to see. So yeah, no, it's interesting. A pretty close margin, 8 points, but I would have expected more than 6 closer matchups up until now.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting day at the tight end position here. Flea gets her new acquisition Musgrave in there as her tight end 2, and we mentioned Farrell earlier, who caught the rogue touchdown as her tight end 1. Theo Johnson, we've seen a few times. He seems to be one of Dart's favorite guys to throw to. The tight end 2 spot for Rugg was Jatavian Sanders, who we have not seen all that much of, 12.45 points.
Yeah, he's been injured for half the season. And he started out early in the year looking like he was going to be the guy. Yeah, he had a 19-point week in week 2. Looked like he was going to kind of fill that secondary receiving role for the team behind Tet. And then he got hurt, and since he's been back, it's been kind of a timeshare with him and Tremble and Evans. So it's nice to see him get a little bit of production.
All right. Anything you want to touch on here before we move on to our next matchup?
I mean, Taylor has 5 3-touchdown games in
Yep.
10 weeks.
50% of the time. It works every time.
He's just, he scores 3 touchdowns in the game.
Oh,
Half
I
of his
really wish he had done
appearances.
it. I really wish he had done it 6 times so we could do the 60% of the time. It works every time for every single fantasy analyst would have made that joke. We'll go with the 50% of the time. It works every time.
Incredible.
All right. Before we move on from this matchup, we again, unfortunately, have a few injuries to discuss. On Flea's side of things, Devontae Adams left the game with a back injury in the fourth quarter, did not return. This looked like an old man injury to me.
Yeah, he kind of pulled up lame just running a route.
Yep.
And the game was out of hand at that point, so
Yeah.
they just kind of pulled him. Didn't really need him to be out there. So hopefully it's just something minor,
Yeah.
but
I'm
you
sure
never
he
know.
tweaked it and it'll be uncomfortable for a bit. Hopefully he gets to be back out there soon because
Put him in Matt Stafford's cryo chamber that they had in
that
the.
you still got that trailer there?
It seemed to work for Stafford.
No kidding. Yeah, send him to Germany. All right. Also on Flea's team and also at the wide receiver position, Romeo Dobbs left the game in the fourth quarter with a chest injury, didn't return. I have not seen any update on this one.
Yeah, I didn't see this one. I didn't see when he got hurt. I
No, I
just saw
didn't.
them announce him as questionable and then never came back. So I didn't really see the play that he got injured on.
Well,
It
I'm
was,
seeing the update here is he just wanted out of that god awful game. Got it.
yeah, it was, I was about to say it was hard to watch this game. It was really
Painful.
terrible. So I didn't really want to pay that close of attention to it.
Right. Hopefully, again, he's okay. That receiving group is already dealing with a lot of injuries. They're missing Reed. They're missing Kraft for the rest of the year. Our guy Bo Melton got dragged back onto the offensive side of the ball.
Right. We talked about him in the preseason because he was still on on Judd's roster, even though they had converted him to cornerback. Well, today they converted him back to receiver. I think he got 5 targets. It's
He got a
not good
bunch,
when
yeah.
you're pulling guys off of the defensive side to be primary receivers.
Well, Wicks still can't catch. He had another drop,
Yeah,
and
he
I
trades
don't.
amazing plays with bonehead plays
Right. It's
pretty
just
regularly.
right. I want to see them try and just let Love throw the ball 50 times a game for a couple weeks and see what happens. But if they don't have anyone out there to catch it, I don't think they can really do that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Christian Watson, who's by all rights should probably still be on the pup list, considering
Probably,
he
yeah.
tore his ACL in week 18. We
Yeah.
haven't even gotten to the full year mark yet, and
He's looked good.
he's become their primary receiver
Right.
because Golden's out with injury. Everybody else is out with injury. Kind of forced him to be out there. You got Malik Heath and Bo Melton converting back from corner. It's not great. Not a great situation.
Maybe they'll let Savion Williams run some actual routes instead of throwing him the most obvious screen passes every time.
Can he run routes? I
Well, let him
mean,
try. I mean,
he,
it's better than Wicks going out there and dropping the ball,
he,
isn't it?
he didn't in college. He played half his snaps at running back,
Yeah.
so he's more
They-
athlete than receiver at this
right.
point.
They're trying to manufacture touches, but it's kind of obvious every time they're trying to. So the
Yeah,
play gets blown up every time and he doesn't have the opportunity to do anything in space.
right.
All right, a couple injuries on Rugg's side of this matchup as well. Unfortunately, he lost J.K. Dobbins to an ankle injury.
Yeah, Dobbins was the bad one.
Right.
And when it happened, he came out briefly, got it taped up, and went back in and finished off the game. He had
Yeah.
the last 6 carries to run out the clock. But we've seen these kind of injuries, high ankle injuries where players return and then overnight or the next day it swells up to the point where they can't play for weeks afterwards. So we're hoping that's not the case, but the last thing we heard, as of recording on Tuesday was that they were evaluating options, including potentially putting him on IR.
Yeah. They talked about IR. Apparently, he's going to get a second opinion, which probably means that the first opinion was not great.
Right. Nobody gets a second opinion when they like the first opinion.
Right.
Well, that's a
Oh,
great prognosis. Let me go ask somebody else just to be sure.
I, I feel bad because Dobbins just every year this seems to happen with him. He's been playing really well. He looks good, and then it's just another injury.
He's always great when he's out there.
Yeah.
It's just the staying out there part that his body doesn't want to cooperate with.
One other injury for Rugg. Rashad Bateman was seen after the game in a walking boot. They said it was a high ankle sprain. They also have said that it appears as though it's not that bad, but I don't know if it's a high ankle sprain and he's in a walking boot. I'm not entirely sure I believe them.
Right. Well, not that bad might still be a multi-week injury.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hasn't been a ton of consistent production from this receiving core, partly because Lamar's missed half the season and
Yeah.
partly because that's just the way they operate on offense. It's Flowers and then 7 other guys that they rotate in there, plus all 7 tight ends. So he hasn't been super impactful, but yeah, you could see this one. He was diving towards the end zone. And the guy kind of landed on his foot ankle area. So yeah, we're expecting him to miss a couple of weeks.
Okay. I think that about wraps up this matchup and these unfortunate injuries. Our next highest scoring team was Georgia Mike. Oh, I should have mentioned before. Flea was our second highest scoring team, and Rugg was our fourth highest scoring team. And Georgia Mike was our third highest scoring team. He put up a 223.10. He was up against Mr. Good News, who was our ninth highest scoring team with what I'm pretty sure is a season high of 155.88.
Yeah, he's losing ground in that race for the 101.
He's losing ground in the race for the 102 at that rate, 155 points. In this game, a few players on both sides over 20 points. Let's start with Mr. Good News because we have not had a chance to say this one before. Davis Mills with a 27.68.
We haven't had a chance to say this for his entire career. Is that
Right.
right?
What? Davis Mills? Okay.
Davis Mills filling
Almost
in for
300 yards.
filling in for CJ Stroud. He had a career game, including a what was it, 16-yard go ahead touchdown run, which
Yeah.
is not normally in his bag of tricks, but
No, not usually what you expect out of Davis Mills.
yeah, it was a good game. It was one of the best games that a Houston quarterback has had all season, unfortunately for CJ Stroud.
Uh, Davis Mills, I'm pretty sure I saw he has I think this might have been his sixth career win, might have been his fifth. Uh, he is 3-1 against Trevor Lawrence.
Of course. Makes
Now,
sense.
to
Gets
be
all his
fair,
wins against the Jaguars.
the Jaguars were really, really bad for a lot of that.
Right.
But also, that's a bad look for Trevor right there. That's a ugly look.
Well, considering the Jaguars' record since Lawrence has been there, he's probably got losing records against most quarterbacks.
I would imagine he does. But to be 1-3 against Davis Mills and have Davis Mills have half his career wins against you
Yeah,
individually.
it's not great.
Yeah. All right. So other players on Mr. Good News squad, Emeka Egbuka, 27 points. Mac Hollins, 21 points, or excuse me, 20.1 points. Pretty good days from those two. Egbuka, we haven't really seen as much of that recently because he's been injured. And Hollins is always just kind of around in New England, and he just happened to catch a couple long ones this week.
Yeah, and he threw a nasty block that sprung one of the long Trevion Henderson runs as well.
Yeah, the first one, the one to the right, I think it was.
Yeah,
You could
that's
say
what he's really. That's what he's
you
really
could
out
say
there
it was
for.
a nasty block. It was really kind of just a hold.
Hey, well, if they don't call it, then it's a good block.
Right. Yeah. No, he's a good blocker though. He's very much the reason he's out there all the time is because he's a good blocker.
Yeah, but yeah, with Butte out, they used him a lot more in that kind of field stretching X role that Butte's been filling for most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So he was productive, got 100 yards.
Yep. All right. For Georgia Mike, bunch of players over 20 points as well. Caleb Williams, 26.6. Drake London, 28 points. Jameson Williams, 28 points. Roma Dunze, 24 points. Thanks, Dad. And Lad McConkey, 23 points.
Welcome back to a few of these guys like
Yeah.
Rome Madunze and I mean JMO really for the first time all season. Rome's been doing it every week besides last week when they scored 50 points and he put up a goose egg. But JMO has been absent for most of the year and all it took was Dan Campbell taking over play calling duties apparently.
Right. There was a couple interesting things that came out of Campbell calling the plays. Now, I'm not entirely sure how much to take away from this because they were playing against a significantly worse defense than they've seen in the last couple of weeks.
Right. One of the worst defenses in the league.
Right. So it could be just Campbell calling a better game and having a better handle on the offense, or it could just be the fact that they had an easier matchup. But they also had almost 50-50 split between Gibbs and Montgomery in terms of touches right up through essentially the fourth quarter. Now,
Yep.
obviously Gibbs was significantly more productive with those touches, but we have up until this point seen Gibbs not have, or Montgomery not have as many touches as Gibbs has had.
Yeah, this balance was a lot closer to what we saw last year.
And more importantly for Georgia Mike, Jameson Williams getting going is a big contribution right there to his starting lineup every week.
Yeah, this is also more of what we saw last year.
Right. And it's not like Detroit's offense has been bad up until this point. They've been good, but they were better this week. And again, time will tell what, the real cause of that was.
They play Philadelphia in Philadelphia this week. That's a slightly tougher test.
Yeah. Based on what we saw last night, that game should finish with about 12 total points.
Oh, God.
Interesting thing to look at here at the tight end position for both of these teams. Kyle Pitts, pretty much as always, in Georgia Mike's roster. Both of these managers have their tight end one as a Rams tight end. Parkinson for Georgia Mike and Allen for Mr. Good News, which apparently is just a result of the Rams running 13 personnel all the time now. And we're just going to get fantasy production out of all of them. I don't know.
So it's been like this all season. The Rams have 4 tight ends active on game days now, and they rotate all 4 of them in, and all 4 of them are threats to score touchdowns from their jumbo packages when they get in close.
Yeah.
And in this week, we saw 2 of them do it, and here they are.
Yeah. Their rate of 13 personnel has gone through the roof in the last 4 weeks. You look at it, I don't think any team has run this many tight ends this often in years.
Well, they've also struggled with wide receiver injuries. Puka's
This is
been
true.
banged up, and Tutu Atwell's been out for a couple of weeks. So they're,
Does that matter?
I mean, they use him as their third receiver pretty
Yeah.
often as a field stretcher. If he's not out there, instead of just going down the depth chart further, they've just been throwing tight ends out there instead.
Yeah, and they've been using some of the tight ends down the field. Terrence Ferguson had a 32-yard catch, and he got another deep look a couple of
Yep.
plays before that. So they've been throwing to the tight ends down the field, and it's not just short stuff with them.
Yep.
Except for Davis Allen, who had 2 catches for 8 yards.
That's what he does.
All he does is catch touchdowns.
Short touchdowns.
And speaking of tight ends in this one, we do have one injury to briefly mention. Austin Hooper left the game against Tampa with a concussion. He did not practice today, so we know he hasn't cleared that protocol yet. They play on Thursday. Chances are he won't. I don't know. Worth keeping an eye on. Maybe it'll mean more for Hunter Henry in the short term.
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing to mention before we leave. Mr. Good News with a 0 for his running back 2 spot. Shout out Trey Sermon.
Trey Sermon gets in there more often than not.
Yeah, he might be his most started running back this year, but his fewest
without
points.
scoring any points.
Yeah, exactly.
We know that Mel is clearly a fan. The one thing I wanted to talk about here was, is it time to start worrying about your boy, Indiana Jones? We've seen back-to-back weeks where he's struggled. 12 sacks and 6 fumbles and 4 interceptions in the last 2 weeks. This is more like the Daniel Jones that we saw for the previous 5 years of his career, 6 years of his career.
I'm not sure if I would get too worked up about this. Yes, it's been rough over the last couple weeks. I don't want to say it's
still won this week.
I was gonna say I don't want to say it's a blip because it's obviously more than a blip. I don't think it's a imminent collapse. I think he's just kind of going back to the mean a little bit, and you'll see probably not quite as strong a year as he's had up until this point, but I don't think he's gonna suddenly turn into a pumpkin either.
Yeah, he's been just such a key part of the early season run up until this point for Georgia Mike's team. So
yeah,
losing that production.
And for the Colts.
Right, Colts as well, but who cares about real life football? We're talking about this specific dynasty fantasy football league that we play in.
Yep. Who cares about real life football? Not me.
Spoken like a true Giants fan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know with Jones. I think he'll be okay. Also, I'm pretty sure that team loves him. He's always, been a decent locker room guy as far as I know. And
yeah, he was out there playing with a bloodied mouth this week.
I was just gonna say he got like dinged up pretty good. He's bleeding. Also, have you ever seen a man look more goofy with a bloody mouth than that guy did? Like, I like Jones, but man, he looks goofy sometimes.
Yeah, it looks tough on anybody except for Daniel Jones.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, normally you think, oh man, gutting through it, and I'm just sitting there going like, kind of looks like he's wearing a little bit of lipstick.
Oh, poor Danny.
But like, doesn't matter what it looked like. He was out there. It was a cool thing to see. And
yeah,
the team rallied. They won the game.
They got the win. That's all that matters. He put in a couple of big clutch throws when they needed it to win the game. So
yeah,
just something to watch. They're going to their bye week this week, so maybe they can iron out whatever the issues were.
Right. You've had enough time for your team to put some stuff on tape and for the league to see that stuff. Now you get to go in and see what the league is doing against you and how you guys can adjust again. It's how stuff works. It goes up and down for most teams that aren't just like juggernauts. Okay. Let's go to our next matchup. Our next highest scoring team was Al's team. Al, you put up a 212.27. You were up against Criddle, who put up a 125.07. You were our 5th highest scoring team. Criddle was our 10th highest scoring team.
Right. Thanks to that sloppy Monday night game with all the Eagles on
Oh
Criddle's
yeah.
roster.
I was I was kind of like I looked at Criddle's score and I said, "Huh, that's lower than he usually is." Well, I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. He's usually in the 160 to 180 range, and that makes perfect sense now that that you just explained it. All right, so let's take a look at this matchup. You had almost 40 points out of Jameer Gibbs. He put up a 39.95. What a game. 142 yards on the ground, two touchdowns, another 30 yards, and another touchdown through the air.
Breaking news. Jameer Gibbs is good.
Yeah, so Gibbs with an almost 40-point day. Good number of other players on both sides of this one over 20 points. You had Jared Goff with almost 28, Chris Olave with almost 24, Jalen Waddle with almost 22, and Cade Otton with 25. So solid performances there. Nice to see Cade Otton coming back strong. He's had a up and down year for you.
Yeah, he's kind of been the only consistent receiving threat in Tampa, and his production ebbs and flows with the other wide receiver injuries.
Yeah.
When everyone's healthy, he's kind of a lot further down the pecking order. But when everyone's injured, he can have productive games like this.
Well, like Buka was good this week. He had 27 points. It's nice to see two guys doing it at once, at least,
Right.
against a somewhat difficult New England defense as well. Let's see. For Criddle, he had Dalton Schultz with 25.55, Jawan Johnson 22.7, and I think no other players over 20, but a couple guys pretty close. Devonta Smith just shy at 19 points. As you said, a tough day for the Eagles basically equals a tough day fantasy wise for Criddle's roster.
Yep. Yeah, his roster goes as the Eagles go.
I just noticed your running back two spot. You weren't kidding. It was Ty Johnson in there with one carry for 2 yards and two catches for 24 yards and a first down, 5.1 points.
Send help.
Well, I mean, you did add Spears, who was on bye and unable to help this week, but should help you going forward.
Send help. Need running backs.
I think we all need running backs except for I don't know, except for Flea, who's got Taylor out there putting 50 points a week up. So how do you feel about this matchup? How do you feel about your team putting up a 212?
It was nice to get a little bounce back after my worst week of the season last week. Nice to be back over the median.
Yeah.
But yeah, this matchup wasn't really ever in doubt, unfortunately, for Criddle. His team he's got some holes on the roster. You can look at the guys that are in his lineup. He's got a handful of guys that he's got multiple flex spots filled with guys that scored under 4 points.
Yeah. Elijah Moore, Juszczyk, Hubbard, and Gainwell ranging from 3.3 down to 2.4 points. Not what you're looking for.
Yeah, hard to get many wins like that.
No, and we should also mention wide receiver 2, Curtis Samuel, 3.85. When you have that many low single digit points, it's just you're not going to have a good week.
Yeah.
Interesting for your team that you had Dallas Goedert, Harold Fannin, and David Njoku all between 11.6 and 12.8 points, filling out some flex spots for you.
Yeah, nice to have my tight ends back from bye. I needed them this week. Didn't get a lot of production from the receiver spots, so needed that tight end boost this week.
I don't know. Waddle and Olave both caught touchdowns, were over 20 points. That's solid.
Right. And then the rest of my receivers did nothing.
Jacoby Myers, 3 catches in his Jacksonville debut, major lineup.
That's not great.
What the only one that's a little surprising for me to see is that despite the fact that they put up 30 points and won that game handily, Tua only put up 13 points for your roster.
Yeah, he had a handful of negative plays, a couple of picks that he threw that were really ugly. He was basically forcing it into Waddle, which is nice, as the Waddle manager, but not as nice as the Tua manager. He did manage to hit him on a touchdown, but the 2 picks were bad throws, and I believe he's back in the lead for interceptions on the season.
Oh, he might be. I haven't been keeping track of that one.
It's been a tough race with him and Gino.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure better days are ahead for him. I'm sure better days are ahead for Criddle's roster once he gets CJ Stroud back and has a viable option at his super flex at least. Just one injury that we have to talk about in this one. Garrett Wilson hurt his knee. I guess this is most likely a re-aggravation of his previous knee injury,
Yep.
and he's going to miss some time. They've been talking like maybe they'll put him on IR, but they have not yet done so.
Yeah, well, we've seen the sprained knee, lead to guys missing 3 to 4 weeks. He only missed a couple of weeks. They had a bye mixed in there, and either he wasn't ready or it was just unfortunate area to be hit on.
Yeah.
That he re-injured the same knee. So I'm guessing this absence is probably going to be a little longer. That not really much left to play for the Jets this year. So no reason for them to rush him back.
Well, the Jets passed for 54 yards this week and had negative, or excuse me, a net passing of 42 yards this week. So I
And
don't know if
all of that was one screen pass that
right,
Brees Hall broke and took for a touchdown.
that's not figurative. That's literally all of it. Brees Hall had
Literally all
one
of
catch
it.
for 42 yards.
That was
Not
all of the
figurative. Literal. All of the production came on that one play.
yards.
The leading receiver outside of Brees was Isaiah Williams with one catch for 4 yards.
Yeah, I read that it was the first time a running back has had over 90% of the receiving yards for a team in a game since Walter Payton.
Oh, sure. That's I mean Walter Payton's great, but that's not a stat that you want to have.
Right. If your running back has over 90% of the team receiving yards in the
Right.
game, it's
I
usually not
mean,
good.
if you tell me that like, oh, Brees Hall is on the same list as, Peyton, that's great, sweetness. What do we got? And then it's that, and, maybe that just isn't great.
Also not great that it was only 42 yards.
Right. And one of the other catches, Davis had one catch for 1 yard, which isn't a lot, but when you only have 54 total, it kind of is. He had 43
Yeah.
yards to the running backs. Shout out John Mechie, one catch for 3 yards.
Yeah, but he also took a carry for -7 yards, so he actually had negative yardage on the day.
The Jets offense is a crime against humanity. All right, let's stop talking
And they
about the
won.
Jets as soon as
They
possible.
won the game.
They won the game.
The
Yeah,
Jets won this game.
it's the first time in over 200 games where a team has given up under 175 yards of total offense, or is not 100? Was it 225? I don't remember the exact number. I'd have to add it up. Basically, it's the first time in forever that a team has given up so few yards, not turned the ball over, and still lost. Just bang up job, Cleveland. Well done.
Cleveland Browns, everyone.
And it's total yards of offense, I guess, because you had the 99-yard kick return and the 74-yard punt return. So there were yards, they just weren't yards from scrimmage.
Right. That's why the Jets won.
Oh man. Yeah. Mel, turn on return yards. The Jets will be a productive team again. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we get the hell away from talking about the Jets
No.
for the rest of the day?
Please, no.
Okay. All right. Our next highest scoring team was my team. I was our sixth highest scoring team. I put up a 196.55. I was up against JMC, who was our eighth highest scoring team. He put up a 177.5. It's two good weeks in a row from JMC's roster.
Yeah, closer matchup than I bet both of you were expecting.
I was not in a great state of mind going into that Monday game. I guess it was the Sunday late game that really screwed me because I was expecting more from Herbert, but didn't get that. All right, let's talk about Devon Achane because he put up 43.25. This dude is just the entire Miami offense right now. 22 carries, 174 yards, 6 catches, 51 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns.
You say right now, but it's been like that
Right,
for a lot longer than just this week.
Right. For the last year and a half, I guess I should be specifying. What a day, 43 points. And he doesn't even stand out that much because Taylor had 51 and Gibbs had 40. But this is a really impressive week.
Yeah, he had 174 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing, and then another 6 for 50 receiving.
Yeah.
It's like he's getting Christian McCaffrey-esque workloads.
Right. A hell of a day for Achan. And to go with it, we had the Travion Henderson breakout game where he had 14 carries for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns, and ended up with 28.5 points.
Yeah, the Patriots as a team, it was the first time that they've had. It's a second time in history where a team has had three 50-plus yard touchdowns scored by rookies in the same game. The only other team to do that was the 1998 Vikings, all three by Randy Moss.
Was that game where he had like three catches for 160
Yep.
yards or something? That one?
Yep.
That's great.
That's the one.
I remember that. Oh man. So heck of a day for JMC's running back room. 71.75 points between these two guys. That's what you like to see.
Yeah, it's
And
not often that a non-competitive team, the strength of it is their running back room, but it was definitely the running back room this week.
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's almost half his points. Not quite, but I mean almost. Uh, and the other one you mentioned, Williams, also on JMC's roster. So the Patriots got all three of those touchdowns, as did JMC. Williams 14.45. Only the one catch, but it was a
One
72-yard touchdown. So
Hey, if you're only going to catch one,
yeah,
make it a
right.
72-yard touchdown.
The rest of his roster leaving a little bit to be desired. Jackson Dart, before he got injured, 25.53 points. But outside of that, no other 20-point performances to this week.
Yeah, he's still got a hole at tight end two, where as in he doesn't have a tight end two,
Here's Jelani Woods. I see it right there.
who was in a healthy scratch this week and
Well,
didn't actually play.
the only reason it was Jelani Woods is because Chigakonkwo, his only other rostered tight end, is on bye.
Right.
So it was Woods or nothing.
He's got some holes. That's the reason he's a not competitive team, but he's definitely got some pieces here and a lot of young pieces.
Yep.
We haven't seen real breakouts from some of these guys yet, but we've seen stuff that you can definitely build on and kind of look forward to the future for a lot of these guys.
Yeah. McCarthy had 15.47 for a super flex spot, which is not a huge fantasy day, but also not terrible. And McCarthy seems to swing back and forth between really, really good plays and really, really bad plays.
Yeah, he looks like you would expect a guy with 4 career starts to
Right.
look as far as the inconsistencies and
Yeah.
maybe the game is moving a little fast for him still. He's holding the ball too long, taking sacks, making poor decisions. So
I've got one piece of advice for him. Just throw it to Justin Jefferson if you're unsure.
I mean, he did it this week. I think he had 12 targets. It didn't really
Yeah.
lead to much fantasy production.
That's all right. Keep doing it. It'll work out, I promise.
You would think at some point.
Worth noting that Colston Loveland, 14 points, continues to progress nicely. 4 catches, 55 yards.
Yep, he's carved out a nice little role in this offense, even with Komet back in there. That's what we were looking for all season.
Yep.
And he took advantage with Komet being out, and looks like he may have secured his role going forward, which is nice.
Yeah.
Considering he has no other tight ends.
Right. Yeah. He needs the production from Loveland. And
Right.
I'm pretty sure that he's not worried about how much he produces this year anyways, other than the fact that this is a pass fail situation.
Yeah, we said going into the year that early on his team would probably be more competitive later on in the season, and we've seen that the last few weeks. He's been far more competitive than he was the first 2 months of the year.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Last week he got his first week over the median, and this week he was the 8th highest scoring team with 177 will get you over the median almost as often as not. Well, maybe not quite, but it'll get you there some of the time.
Yeah, it's a big difference between this score and the guys that are 10, 11, 12 high scoring that don't even break 100 points.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's take a look at my side of this matchup. Only a few players over 20 points in this one. Tyler Warren with 26, JSN with 23, and Puka with just shy of 21. That's it.
Unbelievable that JSN put up 20, 30 points when Darnold only attempted 12 passes. How good
So
is JSN? He had 50% target share.
I made a note of this. JSN only played 26 snaps, only ran 11 routes, and only had 6 targets. And by the end of the first quarter, he had like 17 or 18 fantasy points.
And then they just stopped throwing.
Yeah, he caught one pass in the second half. I guess he did get dinged up a little bit, but obviously he came back out. I think he might have been evaluated for concussion or something.
Yeah, he's been
No, well, he did. Yeah, he was taken out, evaluated for a concussion.
he's been unbelievable this year and is
Right.
now over 1,000 yards on the season in 9 games.
Coming into this game, he was on pace to break the receiving record, but was also on pace to do it with 300 fewer targets than Calvin did it with.
300 fewer?
300 fewer targets, yes. Or not targets, routes run, excuse me.
Yeah, I was like 300 targets seems like a lot.
No. I misspoke there, yeah. 300 fewer routes run than Calvin.
Yeah.
Which
Yep. They haven't need to throw. They haven't had a need to throw to get him this kind of production. He's
no.
just been so brutally efficient.
Yeah. Basically.
Between him and Puka, I mean, these guys just get insane target and route shares where they're getting the ball half the time that they're running a route. Leads to some pretty silly scores.
It does. They're both just that good though. They maybe they should you can't say that JSN should be getting more targets though, because he's already like a 50% target share on the team.
Right. It would be difficult for him to be more involved in the offense than he already is.
Exactly.
It's just the overall low passing volume of the offense itself is the only thing holding his numbers down.
A pretty disappointing day for a good chunk of my roster. Only 13.7 out of my QB1 this week, which I don't think I've had that low a score at a quarterback position in a while. Flacco and Mahomes both on bye doesn't help, but I shouldn't be counting on Joe Flacco anyways.
Hey man, speaking of passing volume, Flacco's getting there in
Right.
volume every week. When you throw 60 passes a game, you're gonna have volume.
Yeah. Did you see the reports about Joe Burrow potentially trying to come back for week 13, which is a Thursday night?
Yeah, he wants to come back for Thanksgiving.
That seems, why would, if you've got a Thursday game, that means that you have 10 days off after that to your next Sunday game. Why wouldn't you just give yourself those extra 10 days?
Well, I mean, you also every week matters for their
True.
playoff opportunities, and you also get 10 days to recover before you have to play another game.
It's fair points on both. Let's see what I don't know who they play against that day.
I'm assuming they're not going to play him unless he's healthy enough to protect himself out there. And if
Right.
he is, then why wait another 10 days if you don't have to? If it's not going to get healthier in 10 days, then you might as well throw him out there.
I guess that's fair. I'd love to see Burrow back out there, but selfishly, I also want Flacco to play for the rest of the year.
I think we all do based on him throwing 60 passes a game. That's fun for everybody.
Yep. So we did have a few injuries in this one. On JMC side of things, we'll start off with Jackson Dart. He is in the concussion protocol, and he got
Again.
his coach fired. No, his coach got himself fired. Obviously, this is not on Dart, but
Oh, he did take a bad shot and then did not come out of the game until later.
right, yeah, he came out and then went back in actually, and then
Yeah,
came out again.
then came out again for good.
Not
So,
not a great look. This is not
cons-
shocking that
considering they've already been fined for skirting the concussion rules
so dumb.
once, yeah, I think honestly, I think it may have played into why Dable is now gone.
Yeah,
They,
it definitely did. Well, I talked about it before when the Scadaboo injury happened. Maybe this will help Dart learn that he's got to protect himself. Well, clearly it didn't,
yeah,
and clearly it didn't teach Dayball to protect him either. So if Dayball's not going to do it and Dart's not going to do it, get rid of
This is-
Dayball and
this is the problem when you have a conflict of interest between
right.
your coach and your GM. When the coach is coaching every week for his job to stay employed. He's going to do whatever he can to win that game, even if that means calling Dart's number over and over again and
Hey,
throwing him into the meat grinder.
you want to know what I think? I think that you're right. And I think that that was the way Dayball was looking at it. But I don't think he would have lost his job if this hadn't happened. Now,
Yeah,
maybe he would have anyways. They've had some pretty ugly collapses, including this week. They,
right. I think
were
that
up
is
on the road in the fourth quarter and you keep losing. That's
I
a
think
problem.
that's the bigger problem is
No, it's absolutely a problem.
how many times they've been up and should have won games that they lost, and it's just another one. It's
Right.
just been a long string of disappointments and failures. So it's yeah, it's really it was really a matter of time, and it was just another glaring example, unfortunately.
Yeah. But I would have not been even a little bit surprised if after this week we saw Shane Bowen get fired, the defensive coordinator, and Dayball say like, "Oh, we can't keep giving up these. We had to do something," and he would have kept his job for a bit.
Yeah, somebody had to go.
Right. Like, and here's the thing: I think Bowen probably should go anyways. Is
And he probably will.
he's not getting the most out of the defensive pieces that he has, and I mean, we don't need to get into any of this. I'm a Giants fan. I want to complain. Let's move on from that. So Dart's in the concussion protocol. We'll worry about when he gets out of that. We'll see how he progresses. One other injury for JMC's roster, Traylon Burks, talking about those young breakouts, had his highest scoring week since week 15 of 2023 with a 10.55.
Oh,
The seventh
Traylon.
highest scoring game of his career, and he just had finger surgery.
He was Washington's leading receiver in this
He
game.
was.
He had a
Hey,
nice sideline contested catch and everything.
yeah, he looked
He
good.
looked like he was carving out a real role. That I know they signed him to the practice squad was been about a month ago or so, and they've slowly been
Yeah,
working him in. And this was his biggest role of any week. And of course, it ends with him needing surgery. Unfortunately, it's just kind of been the story of his career.
yeah.
So hopefully
Well,
it's minor and he can bounce
right.
back.
I'm not sure. They didn't really say what it was for, as far as I could tell. But he's obviously going to miss next week. But then they have their bye week after that. So if it's not a major structural thing, then maybe he has a chance to come back after that.
Yeah, they're saying it not expected to be a long-term injury, but obviously was serious enough that he had to have surgery on it.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah, but
see.
he could be back in 3 weeks and only miss one game. That's not bad.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like
Story
my
of his
stats,
career.
seventh highest game of the career and best in week 15.
It's not great that the seventh highest score of his career was 10 points.
10.55. No, that's by
Yeah,
our scoring format. There are other ones. He might have been, slightly higher in other weeks.
I don't think any scoring format is helping Traylon Burks.
It's funny because I think two of the weeks that he was higher were the first 2 weeks of his career.
Yeah, it's hasn't been quite the prince we were promised.
No, not quite. On my side of this, a couple more injuries to discuss. Oronde Gadsden left the third quarter of the Sunday night game with a knee injury. Kind of looked like he took a stinger. He didn't come back. They've announced
He
it as
took
a
a
knee injury. I'm
Yeah,
not
he
sure.
took a knee to the knee.
Yeah.
It was a direct shot on the knee,
Well, it looked
which
like it was slightly above like the kneecap area, which, you get
yeah,
a dead leg pretty easy if you get hit there. I don't know if that was it or if it was something more serious.
they said it was not a bone bruise, which we saw Bauer struggle with for weeks. So
Yeah.
that's promising. He may not miss any time, is the latest report, which is good because he's an important part of this offense the last few weeks.
No, he's been a contributor.
Yeah, he's really emerged since they kind of put him into this passing tight end role.
And the other injury on my team, Terrell Jennings, hurt his knee in the game against Tampa. He was ruled out. He's been at practice, but he's been limited both days. So he is practicing at least in some fashion. I don't know if this is a long-term thing, but it doesn't appear so it is.
Yeah, we'll see. They play on Thursday. So I know that him and Ramondre Stevenson were both kind of limited participants the first couple days of practice. So we'll see. It's tough on a short turnaround
Right.
with any kind of injury.
And that wraps up that matchup and those injuries. Let's go take a look. We have one more matchup to get to. Our next highest scoring team is Mel's team. Mel was the seventh highest scoring team this week, which means he just missed out on that median. And he put up a 181.89. Mel was up against Judd, who was our 11th highest scoring team with a 97.44.
Yeah, thankfully he was playing Judd this week, so he
Right.
did get the head-to-head win. But
Good matchup luck right there.
we don't often see Mel in the final matchup of the week recap.
Nope, not a common occurrence. We see Judd there a decent amount. Sorry, Judd. All right, so this one, players over 20 points. For Judd, no players over 20 points, but two who, if you were rounding, would both round to 20. Kamani Vidal and Amon-Ra St. Brown, both over 19 points. Solid weeks, kind of what we expect from St. Brown, and a nice bounce back for Vidal.
Yeah, I think St. Brown would have gotten there if it was an actual competitive game.
Right, if they had needed to do anything other than just run the ball straight down the throat of the Washington defense. For Mel's team, a few players over 20 points. Josh Allen with a 20, Brees Hall with a 21, Juwan Jennings with a 20, and Parker Washington at 19. So real close there. Not a ton of big scores in this one. All those guys who got over 20 basically just squeaking over that line. But that's why Mel was just under that median.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge week. We saw some guys that don't normally make the lineup. First time we've seen Jennings here in a while.
Yeah.
Parker Washington as the only Jacksonville receiver left standing that Trevor Lawrence has played with for more than 1 week.
With basically the exact same stat line as Jacoby Myers, though. 3 catches, 33 yards.
You're right. Myers has only been on the team for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And Tyler Conklin made the lineup. Not a great week for his tight ends. Conklin was in there with 1 catch for 12 yards after Gadsden got hurt.
Yeah, not what we normally see out of Mel's tight end room, but Noah Fant on bye, no, Gray on bye. A lot of Noah. Why do we have so many Noahs? Fant and Gray both on bye, missing Kraft for the rest of the year, and Jonnu Smith not doing anything this week.
Yeah, Kelsey on bye.
Oh, Kelsey on bye too. Jeez, I forgot about Travis Kelsey.
Chase on bye, Pickens on bye.
Yeah, there's a reason that his
it was a rough week.
Yeah, there's a reason that his team struggled a little bit this week. We all have our rough weeks at bye week, and for everyone they're a little bit different. But this was one of the tougher ones for Mel. Anything that you want to touch on Judd's roster? 5.84 from Jordan Love.
Yeah, it was not a great game. This Monday night game looked a lot like a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
It was kind of sloppy, and the offenses weren't able to move the ball very well. It's kind of an ugly game.
That it was. Rico Dowdle continues his solid fantasy year, 16.55 points. I like to see that. I'm just going to basically mention Dowdle every week that he's in a lineup because he's my guy.
He's taken over as the primary runner in all phases now. He was the primary early down runner when he first took over the job from Hubbard, and now he's also become the primary third down back. So he's in there on passing downs and early downs and goal lines. He's projecting as a very heavy workload going forward, which is great for fantasy.
That it is. All right. Before we get out of this one, we do have a couple injuries to note. For Mel's team, Geno Smith left the game because he's terrible. Oh, I'm sorry. Quad injury.
They probably should have taken him out of the game. They left him in there limping around. It wasn't very effective.
He gutted it out. It was, impressive from clearly this man is hurt, yet he's still going out there and doing his best perspective, but he's had a bad year.
Yeah, this has not been quite the reunion that everyone was expecting.
Right. So it was a quad injury for Geno. Kenny Pickett did come in and play a couple of snaps, but not much. I haven't seen any update on this. Hopefully he's okay and can get out there, because as bad as he's been, I don't want to see Pickett.
Yeah, he's still better than Kenny Pickett.
I don't know. Big when Pickett's a star in a couple of years, don't clip that for us, okay?
For some reason, I'm not worried about that.
All right, one other injury for Mel's roster. DJ Moore hurt his shoulder. He was in and out of this game a couple of times. I'm not sure exactly what the situation is there.
Yeah, he's been real banged up the last couple of weeks, and
Yeah,
just another injury on top of the other injuries he's already been playing through. But yeah, he was the Bears receiver to goose egg this week, unfortunately for
yeah,
Mel.
there's always one of them apparently. Please, can we just all agree that it should be Zacchaeus going forward?
Hey
And
now, I need Zacchaeus. He is a key part of my potential title run here.
and that is a flaw in your roster building. Okay, that I think wraps up the matchups.
Time for America's favorite segment.
Time for America's favorite segment. This week I'm renaming the segment. It's playoffs and record analysis. I don't know if it's a good name or not. It's probably worse.
Definitely worse.
Definitely worse. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm calling it this week, so that's what you get. Because I have a couple extra things to get to after we discuss our percentage chance to make the playoffs here, according to Dynasty Daddy. There you go. We are not discussing the top four teams. We are not discussing the bottom five teams. We really have three teams to discuss for two spots. This week, Flea is at the top of things with a 14-6 record and an 88% chance to make the playoffs. She is slowly pulling away, according to Dynasty Daddy. Second, with a 13-7 record, is Georgia Mike and a 78% chance to make the playoffs, which means that Rugg at 12-8 has a 34% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, he's dropping a little bit here.
He won another game against the median, but lost his matchup again. He's got to have better luck in the second half of this year, right? He has.
There's only 4 weeks left.
Yeah. All right. So it's those three teams. And as you said, 4 weeks left, which means 8 games total to be played, including the games against the median. It's still, we're within 1 week here. Flea has got a 14-6 record, and if she goes 0-2 and Rugg goes 2-0, well, they have the exact same record next week.
Yeah, it's very likely that this is going to come down to the wire.
Yeah. And again, we got to keep an eye on the points tiebreakers for it. I don't have the exact numbers here. Let's take a look. It still goes Georgia Mike, then Flea, and Georgia Mike, then Rugg, and then Flea. And Rugg and Flea are separated by only 14 points.
Yeah, even the points races are pretty tight.
So it's tight. We will see who ends up at the top of it at the end, but it is certainly interesting to watch. Maybe Flea making a couple trades will spur Georgia Mike and Rugg into action as well, because they both have capital that they've been sitting on if you're going out as far as Flea is.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to lock yourself in the playoffs, you can't really hold anything back.
Right. And now is the probably best time to do it if you're Rugg and you're a couple games back and you've already spent some into next year and the year after. You kind of may as well spend it all to ensure that it's worth what you spent.
Yeah,
punch your ticket.
The sooner you do it, the longer of an impact it can have on your maximum points scored and your potential record and stuff like that. So,
yeah. Also, something to consider is Flea's 2 trades were with other contending teams, with your team and with Big's team. And I'm not sure how much of that is available at positions outside of tight end. Like, I'm not sure if you're going to be selling other pieces. Like if Rugg comes calling with picks, how much are you really willing to move? So it might have to be with other teams, which...
Well, I'm probably a bad example because I'm always willing to deal.
That's fair. I probably shouldn't have picked you. Well, like he could come to me and try and buy players for picks with a fair offer, and I'm probably going to look at it and say it's a fair offer, but I'm not interested because I'm contending and I want the points.
Right.
He's got to. Both of these teams would have to find the right trade partner, which is oftentimes easier said than done.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a couple other interesting tidbits. Again, I've been looking at rosters, looking at records, looking at matchups over the course of the year.
I'm glad that you have no hobbies.
Losses while over the median score this year. There are only two teams who have more than one loss while in a week where they scored over the median. I'll bet you can guess one of them.
Yeah, because I'm one of them.
Yep. And then in that case, I'll bet you can best guess both of them.
Yeah, that's Rug is the other one.
So Rug has 4 weeks, 1,
Four.
2, 5, and 6. He had losses against the
That's
losses while over
heartbreaking.
the median. And you had losses against the median not against me, excuse me, while over the median in 3 weeks, in weeks 3, 4, and week 8.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to be over the median and
Right.
lose your head-to-head matchup, but that's why we have the median in there.
Yeah, pretty much every other team has got one. Like I have one loss while over the median. Flinch has one, Big has one, Mel has one, Criddle has one, Flea has one, JMC has one. The only
Yeah.
teams without a loss while over the median score are Mr. Good News, and Judd, who have never made it over the median to begin with, and
Right.
Georgia Mike, who apparently has just been lucky.
Yeah, the 1-1 versus the 0-1 somehow feels so much better. Like
It does.
if you put up a decent amount of points and you get just zero credit for it, it just hurts that much more.
Yeah. Interesting to note that in week 5, where Rugg took a loss over the median, he played the top scoring team that week. In week 2, where I took a loss while over the median, I played the top scoring team that week. You had that happen in week 4, and I'm giving you an asterisk on week 8 because it was the one that I edged out Mel's team for the highest score by 0.01. So I'm giving you the emotional victory in that one. Big had that happen in week 7. Criddle had it happen in week 8. And Flea had it happen in week 9. So a lot of these losses while over the median came against the top scoring team of the week.
Yeah. Yep. It's nice to get partial credit basically for the week when you just run into a buzzsaw.
All right. Now, wins while under the median score. You weren't kidding. I really do need more hobbies. So, wins while under the median score. There are 3 teams with more than one win while under the median score. Do you want to take any guesses on this one?
No, this one you can tell me because I have no idea.
Criddle has 4 wins while under the median. Weeks 1, 4, 7, and 9. JMC has 3, weeks 2, 5, and 8. And Mel has 2, weeks 4 and week 10. This week he got 1. There are 3 teams who have no wins while under the median. I know you can guess one of them.
Well, yeah, because you've never been under the median.
That would be why. There are 2 other teams. Care to take a guess? I bet you can figure out one of them very easily as well.
Well, one of them's probably me because I've only been under the median once.
Nope. You actually won last week while under the median.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So who would not have a single win while under the median?
Well, the team that doesn't have any wins
Yeah.
at all on the season,
Exactly.
which is Judd.
So Judd, the only other team without a win while under the median score is Big's team. And I think Big's
There you
only
go.
been under the median once or twice, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Every other team pretty much, Flinch has 1, Georgia Mike has 1, Flea has 1, Mr. Good News has 1 against Judd. Rug has 1, you have 1.
Interesting.
And
Interesting scheduling quirks.
yeah. So speaking of scheduling quirks, I did some more schedule analysis. Guys, I really need other hobbies. Rug's record right now, not counting games against the median, is somehow 4-6. Now, Rug is a good team. He is well positioned points wise. He's in the playoff picture still. With his own schedule, his record is 4-6. If he had played Georgia Mike's schedule, he would be 8-2. With Mr. Good News's schedule, he would be 5-5. If he had the schedule of any other team in the league, he would either be 6-4 or 7-3.
Interesting.
So the vast majority of the time, he would be 6-4 or 7-3. We'll call it 6.5 wins. Instead, he's got 4. That's a 2.5 win discrepancy there.
So time to go dig out the lucky horseshoe
Right.
rug because you've had some sour luck this year.
Maybe don't play the lottery this week.
Right. Or maybe play it. You do. Seems like you
Yeah.
do.
So
Luck is
there
going to
are
turn around any day now.
Dynasty Daddy shows the all play schedule. So you look at what would my record be if I had someone else's schedule. So
Right.
teams that have their best possible schedule with their own record. Mel's team, Flea's team, and Criddle's team have the best possible outcome currently. Teams with the worst possible outcome, it's just Rug. It's just Rug. And there are three teams, three managers who have a 4-game difference between what their best possible record would be and their worst possible record. That would be Rug, who would have that 4 games better with George and Mike's schedule. And Al, you would have a 4-game difference between your best and worst, and as would Mel's team. So Mel's best and worst is 9-1 and 5-5. Same goes for you. Your best outcome would be 9-1. Your worst outcome would be 5-5.
Interesting. Interesting how the schedule can affect
Yeah.
the win-loss. I mean, we know it does, but we assume it evens out over time, but it doesn't for everybody.
Well, it evens out over time, but overtime is not in a single season.
Yeah.
A single season is a small enough sample size that it could go any way. And interesting to know, I wanted to point this out because I'm going to brag for a minute. There are 4 different schedules with which I would have not lost a single game.
Yeah, your team is good. I mean, you've only lost 1 game on the entire season, right?
Yeah, and that was where I had the second most points on the week and went up against Mel, who had the most points.
Right.
Yeah.
Been a
So
pretty
some
good
interesting
year.
stuff. I found it interesting. Pretty sure no one else is going to listen to that because that's really not all that interesting.
I think Rug might like to know that, make him
Yeah.
feel a little better
Yeah.
about currently being outside the playoff picture. Not entirely your fault.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not. Just a scheduling thing. It happens sometimes.
Blame Mel. He does the schedules.
Anything you want to talk about that I just threw 100 different scenarios and numbers at you?
No, I mean, got a couple of tight races. One being the race for the final 2 playoff spots with these 3 teams, and the other one, the race for the 101. The max points for has been getting tighter every week.
We're down to 24 points this time.
Mr. Good News continues to find productive players off the waiver wire. Unfortunately for him, he hasn't been able to trade them before they put points on his roster. So it's now down to a 24-point margin with 4 weeks to go.
Yeah, we are close to seeing a flip over to Judge roster because, like you said, Good News is finding points out there, and he's got some rookies coming on as well.
Yeah, and Judd's basically playing with a handful of empty roster spots, so those are points that are not going into his lineup every week.
Yep. Oh, and speaking of the playoff matchup and those points matchups going forward, we got some really good matchups in week 11. Have you looked at the schedule?
I have
Yeah.
a lot of playoff implications this week.
We've got 3 matchups that could be potential playoff previews here. My team, I'm playing against Georgia Mike. Mel is playing against Big. Al, you're playing against Flea, and Rug is playing against Criddle. Now, Criddle is not a playoff team, but he is usually on the higher end of the non-playoff teams scoring wise. So this isn't a gimme for Rug, but it's one that he probably should win.
Yep.
But those other 3 matchups that I mentioned, that could be the playoff picture right there.
Yep. Yeah, and considering how tight the standings are, even at the top, you've pulled ahead a little bit, but
Right.
there's still a race for the other bye. Big and Mel have the same record currently, and I think I'm a game behind.
Yeah, they are both 17-3. You are 16-4 right now.
Right. So these matchups definitely matter because somebody's going to take a head-to-head loss between Mel and Big.
Also worth noting, if you were to go 0-2 this week, Flea would tie your record.
Right, because we're playing head-to-head.
So some interesting matchups for week 11. Should be a fun one to discuss when we get back here. We will catch everybody next time, but until then,
See you in the league chat.